We've heard a lot of disturbing actions done by many past African presidents. However, this man's cannibalism might just take the lead, a significant reason why he's called the Butcher of Uganda. During his reign, his military police killed over 500,000 people, and thousands of non-Ugandans were sent to exile. Idi Amin's brutality could be described as an innate character that controlled his actions that could be described as depraved, or better still, animalistic. Or perhaps the taste for power drove him to almost extinct his people, even after getting to the top of that same power. Early life. Idi Amin Dade Ume was born in the rural village of Kiboko district in northern Uganda between 1925 and 1927. His parents, who were of different ethnic groups, separated at birth. Soon after, his mother moved to Lugazi, Uganda, near Lake Victoria. In this isolated farming centre, she raised him as a Muslim. Due to this reason, Amin received very little education, which left him practically illiterate. During the Second World War, at 18, he signed up in the British Army and fought against the Japanese in Burma. In 1946, at age 21, Idi Amin, grown tall, fierce and forceful, joined the King's African Rifles as a cook's assistant. However, handling the kitchen knives in the secluded space of the kitchen couldn't stop him from being noticed. His size and brutal nature soon gained him the attention of some of the military officers. In no time, coupled with his lack of education, which meant 100% obedience, Amin was promoted to the British military. In the coming years, Idi Amin would establish himself as the ideal soldier, with a strategic yet cunning character. His growth in military. In 1949, the 6'4" young man served as a soldier in the Shifta War, fighting alongside the Kenyan colonial forces and separatists from northern Somalia. Amin fought once more in the Mau Mau rebellion a few years later. During this struggle, the Mau Mau rebels aimed to free themselves from British imperialism and stop more British settlers from intruding into their territory. Idi Amin advanced through the African Rifles ranks during the conflict with the Mau Mau rebels. He received an accolade once from Queen Elizabeth at an event where he was named best in the parade. By 1959, he had gotten the highest position attainable by men of his ethnicity, a warrant officer. By 1961, Amin was one of the first 2 Ugandan officers with the rank of lieutenant. If Amin lived in status, things would get more interesting for him. 1962 saw a sneak into the man he was to become. Just before Uganda gained independence from Britain, Amin got entangled in actions that displeased British officials. The lieutenant had taken it upon himself to help stop cattle rustling between the neighbouring ethnic groups in Karamoja, Uganda, and Turkana, Kenya. His intention might have been justifiable, but his actions were brutal, which led the British official's suggestion to the Prime Minister Apollo Milton Obote to try him for the criminal offence. Obote, however, had other ways to punish one of Uganda's top officials, and instead chose to call him to order publicly. As a result, Uganda gained independence on October 9, 1962. After that, Idi Amin was promoted to captain and made significant the following year. He used this opportunity to build connections and alliances with influential politicians, Obote included. Not surprisingly, Idi Amin was embroiled in a scandal in 1965, when it was revealed he had created a new bank account and deposited an eerily colossal sum of money. The money was allegedly a part of a covert effort to fund insurgents in the nearby Congo, according to Prime Minister Obote, who stepped in to defend his partner. Doubting Obote's words and intentions, President Mutesa started organizing his allies against the Prime Minister, as the issue deepened and included examinations into Obote's corruption. Obote knew he would be caught in his scandal and acted fast. In February 1966, Obote struck first, declared himself president, suspended the constitution and detained his opponents. Mutesa was forced into exile by Idi Amin when he assembled an army, marched against him, besieged his palace and surrounded it. Amin was placed as his right-hand man in full command of the armed forces. He soon became the Major General in 1968, making him the second most powerful man in Uganda. The power. While the two might have changed the history of Uganda together, they could not hold their bond for long, probably because Idi Amin recruited many South Sudanese men to the army, thereby reducing the president's influence over the military, or because Obote's socialist policies were favourable to the economic station of the military. One can never say. Whatever the case, Obote started growing suspicious of his soon-to-be rival. In 1970, he reduced Amin's authority and began investigating him for misappropriation of funds. Amin was no slug himself. He knew from experience what Obote planned. As a result of his ability to cultivate a loyal following while in his position, Amin acquired virtually unrestricted power as the nation's leader and won his support. This, along with Obote's growing unpopularity with the Ugandan populace and increasing dictatorial control over the country, allowed Amin to seize power. Amin seizes power. In 1971, Idi Amin started a coup while Obote was in Singapore for an international summit. Soldiers occupied critical structures throughout the nation. In a speech to Ugandans, Idi Amin said that he had taken over the country to end corruption and, in this vein, would hold democratic elections and release political prisoners. A feat that won the heart of citizens, only if they knew what would hit them soon. 1 week after the coup, Amin declared himself president. The constitution was suspended and military cronies filled virtual offices. The emergency measures taken by Amin turned Uganda into a military dictatorship. However, the country's constitution still referred to it as a democratic republic. Amin's second personality, that of a ruthless, erratic and cunning liar, began to show itself. His death squads killed 2 Americans looking into massacres and Obote's followers. Amin's seeming friendliness was soon revealed to be nothing more than a front for his violence. He viciously insulted the British and Israelis, nations he'd previously been cordial with in 1972. That these nations wouldn't sell him arms bothered him. After Muammar al-Gaddafi of Libya agreed to assist, Amin expelled 50,000 Asians and Israelis from Uganda right away. The rapid expulsion of Asian traders destroyed Uganda's economy. The deed also damaged Amin's reputation abroad. That same year, an unsuccessful invasion of southern Uganda by rebels and guerrillas came from Tanzania, a country that supported Obote. Idi Amin swiftly ended the attack but grew wary that internal Ugandan dissidents would back another uprising. As a result, Idi Amin began a massive purging of those he believed to be Obote's allies. This includes numerous people in positions of authority throughout the country and representatives of the Langi and Akoli ethnic communities, where Obote was from. For many years, there was constant violence, which resulted in the deaths of tens of thousands of people. While he might have held the supreme power in his nation, he was nevertheless a coward scared of losing control. He constantly changed bodyguards, vehicles, and houses where he rests. To avoid betrayal, he tried making his army loyal to him through expensive cars, constant promotions, and businesses owned by foreign traders he'd hijacked. The majority of government finances were allocated to Amin's protection as well as the military. The agriculture, transport, manufacturing, and industrial sectors, and foreign investment, which would have brought wealth to the nation, should have been addressed. On July 28, 1975, Amin was chosen to lead the Organization of African Unity, or OAU, a confederation of African countries, despite his deteriorating reputation. A United Nations resolution that would have denounced Amin for his egregious violations of human rights was vetoed in 1977 by African nations. He declared himself president for life and even embarked on a humiliation campaign against British nationals. He forced 4 Englishmen to carry him around in an OAU rally later that year. His downfall. By the late 1970s, Amin was having trouble. Economic conditions were deteriorating. Arabs were disturbed by Amin's slaughter of Muslims, and his reluctance to demonstrate how Uganda was transitioning to an Islamic state. For the leader, importing luxury goods for his soldiers was becoming more challenging. In October 1978, Amin gave the order to invade Tanzania, ostensibly because the latter wanted to topple his administration to divert attention from the country's internal problems. In December 1978, a group of 6,000 Ugandan rebels in exile launched a counter-offensive against Amin's 70,000-strong army, with the help of a slowly assembling 50,000-strong Tanzanian army. Amin's army quickly disintegrated due to demoralization and a lack of desire to continue supporting their commander. However, even after the attack, the chase of Amin continued until his oppressive regime ended on April 11, 1979, when Tanzanians and exiled Ugandan forces entered Uganda. Amin fled to Libya before settling in Jeddah, Saudi Arabia, with his 5 wives and about 23 children, where he lived until he died in 2003. He never returned to answer for the crimes he committed. I hope you got some value out of this biography. If so, make sure to drop a like and see you in the next video.